Good evening, everybody. You're very welcome back here to St. Eugene's Cathedral Hall in the wonderful city of Derry this spring evening. We're here for the third of our COVID conversations, as we call them, giving different people from different strata of society here in the city and in the diocese the opportunity to reflect on their experience of the last very strange 12 months. So tonight I have with me Lizzie Rea. Same Rea family as Chris Rea, for those of a certain generation who know Chris's name, the singer. Lizzie is here as youth coordinator for the Diocese of Derry, and we want to spend a little bit of time with her this evening over the next 20 minutes or so, just reflecting on how she got to this job of being youth coordinator in the Diocese of Derry, what the last 12 months have been like, and how she sees the future of handing on the faith to young people in the diocese. So Lizzie, you're most welcome here.
Thank you very much.
You've no call to be nervous, not in the slightest. So, you'll notice from Lizzie's accent that there's a strong influence of the west of Scotland, is it?
Yeah, Glasgow, yeah.
Well, how did somebody who's got a strong Glasgow accent, or a distinctive Glasgow accent, end up 12 months ago in the job of being youth coordinator? We can look what happened in this past 12 months after that, but how did March last year you were youth coordinator in Derry? How did a talented young woman like yourself end up with that job?
So yes, I do not have a Derry accent. I have a Glaswegian accent. I moved over from Glasgow when I was 11 years of age to Donegal.
With family?
Yeah, with family, not alone. I moved to Redcastle, and the reason I came here is I had family here in Donegal. I had a house in Donegal, came on holiday all my life. So we decided to move over when I was 11. It was a great upbringing, I suppose. It was great, and I went to Mayville Community College School and had some great influences there. Tom McCabe, who is the religious education teacher down there, inspired me to go and study theology.
After you left school?
After I left school, inspired me to go to Maynooth University, go St Patrick's in Maynooth, to study theology. So I did a theology and history degree, and after I got that degree I was fully planning on becoming a teacher. So I decided to apply for a master's to go and become a teacher. Got the acceptance letter and decided it wasn't for me. And I came to the Catechetical Centre in Derry because I did my John Paul Award, and I travelled to Lourdes with the diocese a couple of years before, and I thought, well, I would quite like to volunteer and get things in my CV. And I decided, right, I had Anne-Marie, who is the secretary there. She was my old singing teacher. So I texted her and said, can I come in and volunteer? So I came in, I met Trez, who is the primary coordinator in the office, and she said, yes, of course, we'd lovely to have you volunteer. And the next day I received a phone call from Father Paul Farn to see if I would interview for a job as the parish youth coordinator in St Eugene's in Long Tower.
And that would be for a year?
That would be for a year.
That was the plan, yes.
That was the plan, yeah. I was planning to do that for a year, and throughout that year they didn't really know about the job security, and they said that there was an opening for the Diocesan youth coordinator because Podrick, the previous, was going to become a primary school teacher. So I said, okay, I'll go for that interview, which was a wee bit difficult because I knew everybody on the panel and they were asking me lots of different hard questions, and I laugh at them now because I was having to be very serious. And I find it dead difficult to be serious, as you'll probably find throughout this interview. I find it quite difficult. So I had that interview and I was lucky enough to get the job. So this will be my second year in the job come August, so I've did a full year before we hit COVID, yeah. And then a year after. But I definitely think it was divine inspiration how I found myself in youth ministry.
Because you hadn't planned that when you left Mayville. No. I imagine many of your friends when you left Mayville Community College were saying, theology? What on earth are you studying theology for? But obviously you had a passion for it.
I did. I've had a really different, I wouldn't say different, but a very fortunate upbringing with my parents who took me to Lourdes every year since I was born. I was in Lourdes all the time. That was our summer holiday. I met some great people. We took HCPT, we took people at Easter and in the summer, and also my mum took me to Medjugorje. I had lots of different good experiences. So my friends, people who knew me most, weren't surprised at all that I was going to study theology. Yeah. But others were like, what even is theology? So yes, there was a good few that don't even know what it is.
And did you come across in Maynooth, in St Patrick's College there, interesting people who were also studying theology?
I did. I found it very... it wasn't what I was expecting. A lot of people in the classes, it was small classes, St Patrick's, you were about 30 to 40 in the class, and sometimes we were seminarians and sometimes we weren't, but overall, there was a massive amount of people that were actually just there for the subject, and not because they believed in God, and not because they actually found it more easier to argue against, so which made for excellent conversation. You know, in the class it really did, but they weren't there. I was there for a totally different reason than they were, but I think that's what really helped, and definitely helped me with my faith and grow stronger, because you were having to question lots.
Were there parts of the course that you really enjoyed, of scripture or moral theology or dogma or what?
I loved moral theology. That was all the big arguments, and I love a bit of controversy, I love a bit of drama. So I loved moral theology, but in third year we did Mark's Gospel in scripture, and I fell in love with Mark's Gospel. I thought the social justice element to Mark's Gospel, about Jesus' love for women, about feminism, there was so much in it, and the fact that when you read Mark's Gospel, you have to read it again. It makes sense the second and third time you read it. It's an ongoing conversation, it's ongoing reading, and I just really love doing that.
And of course this is the year when we in the church are using the Gospel according to Mark in the second of the 3-year cycles.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay, then 12 months ago you were in the job and you said, well, I'll be here for a while and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then suddenly COVID hit. And I suppose you had to suddenly change all your plans, all the things you had laid out in advance, all the things you were going to do, suddenly was entirely up in the air. So tell us how you began to negotiate this idea of not being able to meet with people.
Yeah.
So
like that, we had lots planned. We had a trip planned to Medjugorje. The young people were coming, you were coming as well, Bishop, and that was all stopped. There was Loch Derg was meant to come up, Croke Patrick, there was lots of pilgrimages, lots of different things, retreats, all coming up. So as we were going into lockdown, literally this time last year, and myself, Yvonne, and one of the parish leaders, Jules, met the last day before it went into a complete lockdown. We met in the office and went, we need to go online now. We need to do it now. And by a 1 hour meeting later, we had a whole programme ready to go on the Monday. But there was obviously no time to prepare the content, and that takes so much time to prepare the content, but we were doing it like day by day, just make sure we had the next bit up, the next bit up, the next bit up, and we had a whole programme ready for that Monday starting.
But how did you get people to come onto your programme?
How did we get it?
That's a challenge.
There was a lot of questions. Obviously, for the John Paul Awards, we have to do activities, and people would do that in their parish, in their community. But they still had to do it. We were halfway through the award, we couldn't stop. So we just had to provide them with something that they could do. And how we got them on was we used our connections within the parish and in the schools. So we emailed out to everyone and says, look, join our Instagram page, tell everybody to follow it, and then our followers kind of were shooting up as it was, as we continued to grow, throughout March and April, and that's basically it. That's how they all came
I came on at an early stage. You had 100 or something on the night, one of the nights I was on. I was absolutely astounded, not only that you had that number gathered, but that you were able to hold them from 1 week to another too.
Yeah, the numbers really grew. I don't know how it happened. It was a bit of a fluke, if I'm honest. It was a bit of a fluke. But yeah, the numbers were growing all the time, and they were, I think, because it was short and snappy. And I think what we're probably going to talk about as well is what we were doing before wasn't hitting the mark. I think that was the hard lesson that I learned, that all that we were doing, it wasn't just getting there, it was kind of just getting blown over, and it was going over people's heads. We were maybe being too theological with our message, and the message wasn't hitting the right places. But coming onto Instagram, young people are very native to Instagram and the technological generation. So they knew how to work it. They were already on their phones, so it didn't take them a lot of time to sit and watch. So
you began with a Monday evening programme at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
But obviously you developed a whole range of things coming out of that that you hadn't planned in that 1.5 hour meeting the day before lockdown.
Definitely not.
Tell me how the other things began to develop. I suppose it must have partly come from the young people saying, give us more.
They did, they wanted more. We were thinking, we went with a daily programme, and that's now changed. We still have daily input, but we were giving them a task every single day. So it was given a task Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That wasn't working, it was too much. So we changed it to be just one task a week with a theme. So there was always a theme each week. And it was very easy last year in the sense that Lent kind of covered its own theme. You kind of already had themes, you weren't making them up, you're like, oh, we know what was going to happen. But then we saw we can't stop the numbers like that, they're too big. How do we keep them engaged? So we thought of different themes. We did maybe social justice themes, because we did different charities. We've had a great partnership with Mary's Meals throughout the year, and like that, the young people wanted more. So we thought, right, they're wanting more than just one task. So then the programmes like Alpha, the Alpha programme, and our book club and live events all kind of came from that.
And you're on your third Alpha programme now.
Yep.
Did you tell me there were 40 people on this one?
Yep.
For those of you who know nothing about Alpha, tell us very simply what's involved in it, because clearly it's nourishing something for these young people.
Yeah.
That you have 100 of them on
Yep.
over 3 programmes.
Yeah. The Alpha programme is a youth video series. So the video lasts 25 minutes, and there's 3 questions after the video, and some of it's about Christianity. It's about people who probably don't have faith. It's coming from all angles, people who do and don't have faith and are questioning their faith and questioning elements to faith and Christianity. So the questions, there's always a bit of fun one at the start, and then there's 2 kind of deeper questions with different themes. Some of the themes would be, how do I explore faith? What is sin? What is forgiveness? There's lots of different things like that, and how to engage.
Serious, meaty subjects. I mean, they're core elements in Christianity.
Yep.
The existence of God, being loved by God, the reality of sin, the reality of forgiveness. Yeah, the Holy Spirit, I suppose, comes in there somewhere too.
Yep.
That's over how many sessions, Lizzie?
There is 14 sessions, but we do 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Although the last Alpha programme we did 8 weeks, and they were like, "Is there any more?" I was looking forward to a wee rest on a Monday night, if I'm honest, after the live, for at least 4 weeks before we went into the third one.
Yeah.
I says, no, we'll do another 4. So we did 10 weeks the last time, because they wanted more. They keep wanting more.
And now you have a youth scholarship programme going on.
Yep, so that came after the first Alpha. So we did the first Alpha in May last year, and they said, well, what now? We've done a John Paul Award, we're doing the Papal Cross, but what now? And there's some extraordinary young people in that scholarship, and you've probably seen them all over Facebook, and the video you interviewed one of the girls off at Evie,
sure.
In the Catholic Schools Week conversations. I don't know how that all happened. It kind of was a bit of a spur of the moment. They wanted more, so we went, right, if you want more, we need to get something for you to do, we need to have something. And the Derry youth community wasn't kind of going ahead last year because of various reasons. So we came to you, me and Yvonne came with a proposal and said, can we do it? And thankfully you said yes. So we had 12 young people sign up, but that's kind of, that went down to 11 and now 10. That come every single month. They have a monthly meeting that lasts about 6 hours on a Saturday, and they do tasks and various jobs throughout the month. They get like different jobs because we're working with Mary's Meals as the chosen charity, and they're also doing a course, a Youth Link course throughout that as well. And it's a great experience for them, it really is.
And the Youth Link organisation is an inter-church leadership or youth leadership training programme based in Northern Ireland here.
It is, yes. So they're doing a youth practice course, which is kind of teaching them about leadership skills and styles, and they call me the authoritarian one, the dictator, when I'm doing my leadership style. So they do all that kind of stuff and what it takes to kind of be a youth leader and what skills are involved, which is great because I hope these are the youth leaders of the future in our diocese. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, you really are training them up in terms of the content of their faith, but also the skills of working with difference, of asking awkward questions, of dealing with disagreements. And I suppose the Youth Link thing opens the door to the reality that we don't have very much of in Derry City. Cross-community, Catholic and other Christian churches and so on.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think as well, they're coming from a place where the youth, like to be a youth leader, we just put, because we've got lack of numbers, let's be honest, we do sometimes have lack of numbers, so we're like, oh, that's great, you want to volunteer, but we need to teach how to volunteer and what's the best skills, and we're given that opportunity. They can go to any place, they're not just Derry, they can go to university, they can take youth groups, they can be anything in the world and have these skills, and cross community is one of them because not everywhere is like Derry.
And you've been learning a lot of different skills yourself.
I have, yes. We were talking about it earlier, so throughout, obviously I'm not quite good at technology. I grew up with technology, I was that generation. And a lot of what we've done, I've just been the face of it because nobody else knows how to work it. Nobody else is literally like, oh, you need to do it. I don't know how to go on a live on Instagram. So I've taught myself a lot. taken lots and lots of time, but I've learned how to do video editing, make our own original content. Obviously with copyright and things like that, I've been taking my own pictures, so if you see me walking around my ville taking pictures, that's why. Taking pictures of the shore and different things and having all original content and making all that. But that's taken a lot of time, do you know, because I'm not an IT expert. My degree's in theology, not IT, but I think by doing that and not being afraid to upskill, I think that's where the conversations are happening with young people. That's what's keeping them engaged, to have beyond their platforms, not them coming to us, you know.
And then we're looking forward towards the future. What are sort of the hungers that these young people are showing that you're going to have to feed long into the future? I mean, clearly they're demanding, we want more. What is it they're looking for?
They're looking to have the difficult conversation, but they're looking to have a platform, a safe platform, not just an attack. You know, it's not, oh, we don't like this, we don't want that, we don't agree with that. They're saying, we don't know enough, we're not given enough. You know, we're teaching religion in schools to pass exams sometimes we had great religion teachers, I know I did, that taught us more about ourselves and that conscious decision to follow Jesus. I think a lot of us sometimes can be a bit lazy, and I think these young people are so different and so unique. We kind of brand them all in the young people tick the box, but they're so different and so unique, and they're so in tune with everything that's going on in the world, like for social justice, and they want to have the difficult conversation, and that's why Alpha has been so successful, because we've given them a platform that they're able to talk and they're able to discuss the hard questions, but come out with it with a solution, not just, well, that's wrong and that's it. Well, why don't we talk about it? That's a different opinion, and the great thing about being online is that they're having conversations with people from a different background and different place that they live, because it's the diocese and it's, you know, it's so big geographical.
It could be Mallinhead or Mahara or Lahayarn or Coleraine or whatever.
Yep, because, and I think if you were doing it in a parish hall, you would have the same 6 people that come. The fact that there's 40 of them and they're in different groups every week and they're meeting new people, they've all made friends. I see them all following each other on Instagram now because they met each other on Alpha, and they're able to have that conversation in a safe space with a parish leader or myself, who are able to say, well, why do we think this? And it's controlled, but they come out of it having a bit of a solution. So I think that's where we need to go forward, meet them where they're at, have the difficult conversation. Somebody said that, I had a meeting this morning with some parish leaders, Moira said that, she was a great quote, just do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to go online. Do not be afraid that the hard questions are coming. And do not be afraid that there's nobody going to be in our church within the next couple of years, because there is. You know, they are there.
I sense that you talked about having pilgrimages planned. I get the sense that somehow or other there's going to be a big demand for a pilgrimage from these young people who haven't really met yet, because they've been meeting only online and they're dying to meet.
They're the groups, do you know the groups? The scholarship haven't met online, and yet they talk to each other all the time.
They haven't met physically.
They haven't met online, but they haven't met physically. And it's just bananas, because they all know each other so well. Do you know, they know that what they're going to study, that one of them's not vegan, doesn't like vegan foods, one of them loves flipping pancakes live on Instagram, so there's lots that they have learned. But I think World Youth Day, I think these young people are ready and are going to turn into fantastic young leaders, and I think hopefully they'll be leaders by the time we get, you know, we can use them, because they're all kind of turning 18, 19, you know.
And they'll be able to talk to their own generation as well. So you see youth work in the diocese being partly online and obviously partly face-to-face as well?
Definitely, because we've had some amazing things face-to-face. Obviously the sleep out, we missed that this year. Where we had
That's an overnight?
That is, it's overnight, and we had it in here last year in the Cathedral Hall, and there was 90 young people turned up, and they stayed up all night, and we had representatives from our homeless charities, and they were coming in to talk to them, and that was amazing. You know, the buzz after that, it was so tiring, but it was an amazing buzz. So I think if we meet them where they're at, have the conversations online, and like that, they're dying to meet by the end of it, because they've made these connections, rather than put them in the parish hall where they struggle to talk face to face.
My mummy sent me here.
Yeah, definitely. So I got that as well growing up. You're going, just get in and do it, and that's it. So you're sitting there all nervous, and I think there's going to be a massive demand. Well, I hope there will be. I'm living a wee bit of hope, but there has been a massive demand this year. So I hope that just grows and continues.
Okay. And obviously belonging, being with friends, being able to talk about serious subjects with like-minded people must be part of what you're providing in a safe environment.
Yeah.
You can ask the silly questions of what you think, I'm stupid asking this, or am I silly saying this?
No, there's definitely, it's a safe place. It's a safe place, and like that, like-minded. They wouldn't be there if they were really, like, they didn't have any sort of interest. They are signing up, they're doing it off their own free will and free time. Do you know, they've done school all day and then they're deciding to come on for a 2-hour meeting at night. Do you know, it is on their behalf.
And they are typically idealistic young people who actually want to believe in something beautiful.
Yeah. They might not have all the answers, they might not be certain, they might be doubts, but they're willing to listen. And I think that's sometimes, we weren't hitting that. They weren't willing to listen, they weren't there, they weren't ready. But because we went and found them in a safe place in their own homes, you know, they're coming online from their living room rather than put them in a parish hall where they're not comfortable. They've been able to have that talk and have these difficult discussions and, you know, move forward with it and get solutions.
That's marvellous. I mean, certainly it's 12 months you would never have been able to foresee. And I presume, had you been told 12 months ago this is going to last for a full year, you're going to be going online, you say, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I could have done it. If I would have known the hours that would have taken and the time to make the content, because I'm going to a parish hall or when I'm leading an event in here, you go with one piece of paper, like yourself, you know, you go in and you say, right, these are the things I want to discuss, and you're able to deliver. So you're able to just stand up in front. You need to account for every minute online. You need to have everything scheduled, which takes double the work. But it works. I find that the numbers and the response has been better online than it had been.
But clearly they've responded to Lizzie. I mean, part of it is your faithfulness to them. You're relaxed with them. You're encouraging. You're young yourself. You've asked the hard questions and sought to find answers for them.
Yeah, I find it much easier. Like, this is killing me, as you can see, fidgeting, you know, nervous, or sitting in a big staff meeting. But on Instagram or talking with the young people, they've given me the energy that I would have got, say, if I was on pilgrimage to Lourdes. I find that in my own personal faith, I need that time, you know, when I haven't organised it and I just get to live in the moment. Whereas I haven't got that nourishment this year, obviously, as so many haven't as well. But the young people have been my nourishment. Do you know, when I'm feeling down and I go on and they're, oh yes, Lizzie, how you doing? What's crack? And just have that conversation, it really is worth it.
And you've got an apprentice as well this year, have you?
I do. I have an apprentice who I couldn't have done anything without. She's sitting with me just now, Niamh. Niamh is doing her higher diploma in Maynooth in chaplaincy, and she's been amazing. And also, I definitely need to thank some of the parish employed leaders who, without this, wouldn't have been possible. Safeguarding wise, IDEA wise, without their work and effort, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing. So I thank you all. You know who you are.
I think we're getting towards the end of our time here. Lizzie, that's actually been a fascinating conversation, and I hope those who've been following us online on the webcam have had an opportunity just to hear what Lizzie's been saying. The enthusiasm, the talent, the sense that I'll take risks, we'll try something, it mightn't work, but we'll get something out of it. And that sense of confidence you've inspired in young people to ask the awkward questions about faith, and having a theology degree with your ability to give them some of the answers. We hear the word synod a good bit, and synodality. Synod means walking together. You have walked together in a particular way with our young people. Lizzie, for all that you've done, thank you so much for coming here tonight. Thank you a million times over. Lizzie Rea, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Bishop.